Let's go. Happy Friday, America. My name is Arthur MFN Rawe, and I'm bringing the energy. Finally beat back that hangover that I had there. It's the last Friday of April already. I know I got down last weekend. I'm going to try to be a better man this weekend, but as long as you're having fun, I salute you. Of course, we're having a fantastic episode planned out for you, and I'm sitting across the table from my good friend that's keeping it getting back to the basics, beating the beta back, Batstone.
Happy Friday, America. Thanks again for joining us right here for this final Friday of April. It's hard to believe we're already a month through Q2. It's crazy. We got May coming up. Memorial Day we'll be talking in a few weeks. We've got Cinco de Mayo coming up. All the great things, springtime, great weather, tornado season's coming. It's going to be jam-packed, Art. But of course, we got to kick it off with some history.
Yep, today in history, man, it was a juicy day, so bear with me. I'm going to rock it around this. In 1792, the guillotine was first used in France, executes highwayman and Nicolas Pelletier. I tried to figure out what he did, but I couldn't find that out. But what I did find out is that they were trying to make it more quick, opposed to using a sword for beheading, and that some of the people that witnessed this first public execution event actually thought it was kind of boring compared to previous executions.
The guillotine was boring compared to the sword?
Yes.
The sword's going to be more intense.
Yeah, it was
more personal.
The guillotine was boring, apparently.
Wow.
1886, Sigmund Freud opens his first neurologist, I can't say it, practice at Rathausstrasse.
You really like
7 in Vienna.
On these. You always get tongue-tied on Today in History.
What am I going to do? This is a cultured event here, but yeah, Sigmund Freud is super awesome, conditioning, all these different things. He discovered all that. 1898, the Spanish-American War. U.S. declares state of war on Spain effective from the 21st of April, so not quite 25th in history, but very close. And then in 1901, this one was cool. New York becomes the very first state to require automobile licenses and license plates, I should say, and they were issuing those for only $1. So
124 years ago.
Yep, 124 years ago. And then I had to move into 1945. Now, this one's a banger. A lot of things happened on this day in history. Basically, World War II ended in Europe. 45 countries convene the UN conference, and that was in San Francisco. Also, these are all 1945. Allied air raid on Surabaja. British troops reached the Grebbe Line, a forward defensive line in the Netherlands. We also have the Clandestine Radio 1212 used to hoax Nazi Germany's final transmission. Also, the last Boeing B-17s attack against Nazi Germany, and then also the Soviet forces complete their encirclement of Berlin, cutting off all access points to the West German capital. So a lot happened to end World War II on today. And then this one was just too good to not have in here. 1953, Francis Crick and James Watson discover the double helix structure of DNA, published in Nature magazine. And that is today in history.
That was a juicy, juicy day in history, Art. Thanks for running through all those dates and events for us. All right, let's keep it moving. So the Boston Marathon was a couple days ago. You know, it's the classic. I mean, what a banger. You really got to be. There's no way I could run that thing. Absolutely not a chance.
Lungs would be burning.
Not a chance. I don't even think I could do a half marathon. But I'll tell you what, solid lad of the week, Matt Nawn of Pennsylvania, 20-year-old Villanova student, collapsed right on the final stretch, Art. There's a video of it. You see him coming down the final stretch. I mean, just, 100 yards from the finish line, he goes down. He later chalks it up to dehydration. You're just running. Your legs at that point, you're not even thinking about it. Just everything's in motion. And then boom, he just gave out. He had nothing left.
Yeah.
And so he started crawling his way, inch by inch by inch. And his whole, message of this was, don't quit. You go all the way. Go all the way in the marathon. Whether you got to crawl, whether you got to sit on your butt and fucking inch it one at a time. That's what he did, Art. He was determined to finish the Boston Marathon, and he did it in a pretty respectable time, even with the collapse.
I mean, look, solid lad for doing that, but I have to agree with the advice here, because nothing feels worse than like quitting before the end of something because you bitched out. Like, basically, you're bitching out.
Right.
And so if you just find a way, even if your last 10% is butchered, but you still did it, like that is a better feeling than going 90% and quitting. So I fully endorse the message behind this.
Absolutely. It's definitely inspiring to watch. He basically said just because something bad happened doesn't mean you can't keep going, find the opportunities to keep pushing forward, keep chasing it. And that's what he did. And he successfully completed the Boston Marathon by doing that.
Wow, congratulations to that solid lad. Another person here that we're going to be moving on to, Bobby, an 83-year-old woman who was a race car super fan, finally gets her chance behind the wheel.
Love it.
And I knew you would love this one. So some of Bobby's best memories are watching her brother drag race. So growing up, she would always love watching him drag race. She loved the sound of the engines, loved the burning of the tires. But back then, in her days, there weren't too many driving opportunities for women. So she finally did have a chance to go racing one time, and it was for this Powerpuff Derby, which was especially for females. But unfortunately, that event got rained out. And then ever since then, she never had another opportunity to get behind the wheel of a race car until now. So NASCAR actually made this dream come true, and they are checking an item off her bucket list with a wish of a lifetime. So what they're doing for Bobby, or what they did for Bobby, was they got her into a retired actual NASCAR. I don't know if it was full NASCAR, but it was like one of those. It looked like a NASCAR car.
Right.
A retired one from Joe Garon. I don't know if you know that driver. But he sat in the passenger seat. She got a drive, and this was actually in my home state, Colorado, at the Pikes Peak International Raceway. Bobby was living in a senior home, assisted living or whatever, in Littleton, Colorado, doing knitting, painting, living a quiet life. But she has the need for speed.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bobby.
So Bobby gets to fulfill this wish of a lifetime at the Pikes Peak International Speedway.
Great racetrack.
What happens is she's like, the news, CBS is asking her, how fast do you want to go? She's like, as fast as I can, maybe 130. She's like super excited for this. She got a personalized helmet and race suit for this thing.
Epic.
She got a tour of the garage, and then she got to get behind the wheel with the experienced driver in the passenger seat. And basically, she spent an hour going over this 1 mile track over and over and over. And like a bunch of people are there supporting her from like the senior center, and like dudes and a bunch of female drivers. And they're all like, go, Bobby, go. You got this, Bobby. And they're all like screaming for her, so excited. And she's like, just the sound of the motor and being behind the wheel. You step on the gas and hear roar. I'll tell you. And there's like a video below, which
Yeah.
got me cracking up. I was like smiling because you can tell that
How excited.
this truly like was so meaningful for her. She was talking about finally getting behind the race car after doing it, and she's like getting goosebumps after the fact because it was so exciting for her. So this really brought a lot of people together. It made her dreams come true, and never in her wildest dreams did she ever think she would be able to race a car, but she did. And I saw this one. I had to put it in, especially because you're a main racing guy, and also it really made Bobby's life.
Pretty amazing stuff. Pikes Peak Raceway is fantastic too. I wish that we had it on the circuit in the upper NASCAR series. Just south of Colorado Springs and Fountain, the old Busch Series used to run there. Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran that track when he was running for the championship back then. And they do a lot of stuff like the Richard Petty driving experience, the Rusty Wallace driving experience, which is similar to these cars that you were explaining. And so Joe Garone, he is the track COO. So
Okay.
so his car, just being in it, he probably picks them up along the way throughout the years. But how cool is that, man? Bobby's out there letting it rip, tater chip, ripping around Pikes Peak like a bald eagle. That's just tremendous.
Yeah, Bobby killed it. And look, we got other people killing records too. We have a Chilean woman.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
No, not Chilean. It's Kachechkin.
Kachechkin.
So the Kachechkin woman now holds the Kev's Random Records here of the week. Largest mouth gape. That's the category. It's the name of the category. Largest mouth gape to date. Averaging 7.28 centimeters amongst previous. Robinson said she was able to get up to 7.62 centimeters. and still could be widening even more. Apparently, if you do jaw exercises and
Huh.
different things, you can really get everything to open up. That's pretty massive. We took a look at the picture. If you click on this
Yeah.
link of this apparatus they had in there to measure it, I mean, that's significant, Art. Some people just have a very large mouth, I suppose. And so now she's in Guinness as the largest mouth gape. That's the name of the record
Yeah.
that we've seen to date.
So what do you do with that? Like, do you go in for like the biggest bite of a hamburger next? Like, do you go in like for that kind of record? Like, I have the
Oh,
biggest
yeah.
mouth gape, so now I'm gonna get the biggest singular bite out of a hamburger or something. Like, what do
Yeah.
you do with that?
Well, and I'm sure, yeah, we'll keep it PG on that because I'm sure you could think of other things you could do with a largemouth gape. But, to make it into Guinness, you'd probably have to do like, the largest bite of a pizza,
Hmm.
hamburger you had mentioned,
Or
something
like
like that.
eating a whole hot dog in one bite or something.
Yeah, but people already do that. You look at Hershey Wood and you look at some of these other guys
Oh yeah.
that are out in the market doing that crazy shit.
Something. If anyone listening into this, you haven't seen Hershey Wood with his hot dog trick, I highly suggest you searching that and checking it out.
In fact, yeah, I would almost say hit pause on Happy Friday, America. Type in Hershey Wood hot dog. It's like a 53-second video. It's a man in a wife beater standing in a trailer park. You can't miss it. One of the
He has a
craziest things I've ever seen.
bandana, a red
Red
bandana.
bandana. He's got
Yeah.
sunglasses, kind of a skinny looking lad, and he gets very excited about hot dogs. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Could Robinson do something like that? Possibly. But right now she's holding the record for the largest mouth gape. Can you imagine like that's your introduction? Hi, I have the world record for largest mouth gape.
You would have to say it like this. Hi, I have the world's largest mouth gape. That
Oh,
one's
God.
fun. Next, we're going to jump into the Would You Rather. But we do have to pull up last week's results. Again, thank you everybody so much for jumping on Twitter and X, filling out these polls that we put out weekly. It's a blast. So, Kev, what's the recap from last week?
Well, you remember last week, would you rather, right, Art?
No, I don't. I do
Okay.
not.
I had a feeling. So last week we asked the viewers, would you rather have the power to clean anything by snapping
Oh,
your
yes.
fingers
Now I remember.
or the ability to read by touching the
Yes.
book?
We chose book.
We both chose the book.
Yeah.
We predicted America was going to choose clean. We were right.
Oh.
75% of America is going to snap their fingers and have everything clean because y'all are fucking lazy.
I wonder if that would, like, you could snap your fingers and clean cancer out, too.
Oof. Well, I don't think that's how you wrote the would you rather, though. I think it was to
yeah.
clean, like, dishes and around the house.
Yeah, but what else could you clean with the snap of your fingers? Now that I'm thinking about it.
Well, like you wouldn't need a bidet or toilet paper. You just
snap your fingers.
And you got to clean as a whistle.
Hey, who knows? That should have been a conversation
Either way,
for last
we went
week.
with the book. America went with clean. Art, I haven't even made my decision yet on this.
Yeah, this one, what do you think about energies? What do you think about all this kind of stuff? Would you rather move into a refurbished prison or a refurbished psych ward? So basically, like where the crazy people
insane asylum, yeah.
Yeah, or you're going into a prison.
So are you saying like this was a prison and
Yes.
it's now been transitioned to a living place,
Yes,
living quarters?
like apartments.
I'm going with prison then because I
Going
think,
prison.
yeah, structural integrity, I think stands out for whatever the reason. I think
Okay.
the structural integrity of a prison is built pretty firm, thick walls,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that part stands out for insulating purposes and, just tornadoes, whatever, natural disasters. And, there's a lot of different corridors inside a prison that I'm sure you could make into a really fun house.
Yeah. See, I was thinking about like, the prison might not be as homey or as welcoming, but you put
But if
some
it's
studs up.
refurbed.
Yeah, you put some studs up. You can make it however you
Yeah,
want.
you put some drywall.
Yeah, see, you're not a big believer in like the energies that would like reside. Do you?
Sure I am. I
would you get
grew up in
behind-
New England. I had haunted houses growing up.
Yeah, so do you think like a psych ward would be worse or a prison?
I mean, the psych ward, people aren't dying in there, are they?
Probably.
Well, they're dying in prison too.
Well, for sure in prison.
I mean, people are sentenced to death in there. So
Yeah.
the psych ward, you just had a bunch of weirdos that were living there for a period of their time.
Yeah, I'm going psych ward. I really think I want to go psych ward on this, but I have to go prison actually because the prison is going to be in a more secluded area. It's
Typically,
like
it's in the woods.
it's going to be nice. I like
What if it was like Alcatraz?
and like structural, like you're saying.
Structural integrity.
Yeah, like that's awesome.
So you're using my selling points as to why you're going to take the prison.
Exactly. That's why it's easy for me to ask the question and listen to an answer first. So yeah, I'm going prison too.
All right.
I'm getting that weird psych, crazy mayhem people out of here, even though those people are probably in jail as well. I wouldn't want to move into either, honestly.
How did you come up with this?
I saw an article where they were talking about how they refurbished a prison.
That would be.
It was like $64 million. I didn't put it in here, but
Well, think about how much land a
yeah, it
prison
got me
sits
thinking
on.
about it.
Because you have the prison yards too, the outdoor
Yeah.
area. There's gardens. There's different things going on. Like they're built. They're pretty massive typically.
Yeah, I guess I'm going. Prison on this one.
All right, we're unanimous 2 weeks in a row.
Wow.
America, which way are you going?
Yeah.
Are you going in the psych ward? Or are you going into prison? Refurbed. That's the key word there. So
Yeah.
let us know in the comments below or Twitter X Happy Fry USA, and we're gonna keep it moving.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, so this one's kind of wild. Speaking of racing, Art, we got a different type of racing happening in
Okay.
Los Angeles today, April 25th. Okay, we have the first sperm race.
Okay.
That's right, you've heard it right. We know sperm are racing all around the country for pregnancy. This is different. This one will actually take place under the microscopes, and they will have a starting line, a finishing line, instant replays, leaderboards, even betting. You can bet on the sperm,
Okay.
which is just amazing. I mean, this thing, it's hilarious. Let's be honest, it's hilarious. But what I haven't figured out is how you become one of the racers, if you will. I mean, obviously, you have to do masturbation into a cup, get this thing ready to go. The sample has to be kept at a certain temp.
Okay.
And then they're going to launch this thing. So I guess I don't really know how it's going to work, Art. But what I can tell you is it's happening today at the University of Southern California, and the University of California in LA are going to provide microscopic swimmers for the inaugural sperm race.
Interesting. I wonder if you drink caffeine earlier that day, if it affects
A lot of things
how your
affect.
sperm perform.
Well, a lot of it comes down to your semen, right?
Yeah.
That's what's carrying these little guys.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you're eating your pineapple, and you got to make sure you're properly hydrated. Your coconut water's good, zinc. All those things would probably be good if you're trying to win this race.
So, I don't understand how the race works. Like, they put it all in a petri dish tray, or
Basically,
and then stimulate it with an electronic
no,
shock
I
or
don't think they
something.
need stimulation. A sperm knows its only purpose is just go,
But,
go, go.
how does it know which way to go?
There's a laid out area. They've got instant replay, Art.
Maybe they have an egg type pheromone,
I don't know.
something in there to give them some direction.
I don't think the distance traveled is going to be that far. It's just
Yeah.
going to be. It's just a sprint.
Yeah.
It's a sprint.
So, because we were doing some research prior to jumping on, and apparently, when a male disperses the ejaculate, it can go up to, we saw anywhere between 25 to 42 miles per hour.
That's
not the part of the race that they're looking
no,
at.
that's not what they're looking at, because that's just it
The ejection.
launching, and then
Yeah.
once it's finished, then the sperm take over the race.
Yeah. Or race to see who can launch the fastest.
Yeah,
But that's a different type of race.
type of
That's
race.
a different type of race.
They're not racing to see who's ejaculating the furthest.
Yeah.
They're seeing the swimmers themselves within the semen, which one is going to go from A to B the quickest.
Yeah, no, you were right when you told me that this just brought up more questions.
Yes.
This whole thing. So I'm kind of curious to tune in to see what happens with the sperm race here.
It's
today.
going on in Los Angeles today, so maybe we can do a recap next week if we hear some results.
Damn. Well, that one's pretty interesting, and yeah, we do need to do a recap. And look, if I won that sperm competition, you could call me a party animal. And what I'm jumping into next is chimpanzees caught sharing alcoholic fruit. What a bunch of party animals.
We've seen this behavior in primates with the alcohol.
Yeah.
We did some similar stories.
Yeah, so we're seeing it again, this time out of West Africa. British researchers were studying chimpanzees, and look, a couple things about chimps. They're pretty similar to us. They're one of the most violent against their own race. We've talked about the chimps on here before, but they witnessed a group of chimps that were sharing, they were eating, and this fruit that was confirmed later to contain ethanol. So, pretty interesting here. Is it a similar purpose to what humans do? Partaking in intoxicating beverages?
Has to be, right?
It has to be, because when we drink alcohol, like I was last weekend, it leads to a release of dopamine and endorphins, which may lead you to stay up until 3 a.m.
That's really any drug, though, any sort of stimulant, or even depressant, which alcohol is.
And it's also a feeling of happiness and relaxation. So we know that sharing alcohol also is a way to strengthen bonds between humans. Let's share a drink. Let's do something like this. So they're thinking now that wild chimpanzees are eating and sharing ethanolic fruits could be bringing similar benefits, creating a bond,
Right.
relaxing, dopamine. And so one interesting thing is that chimps don't share food all the time. Like they're actually,
Very protective.
yeah, very protective about that. So this was uncharacteristic for them. So maybe sharing like the fermented fruit might be an important part of their behavior. And then it also is like suggesting that human traditioning of feasting and the origins, maybe like these traditions that humans have leads way, way back to evolution. And that's what we're seeing in chimps right now. So
Yeah,
interesting article,
it is.
brothers in the bushes.
And I think it'd be kind of interesting to see a study on this, like over time, if like habit forming behavior begins, right? So like maybe are these chimps getting addicted
Mm,
to this to the point where they're like out looking for it all the time because like, oh, I need that fucking fruit.
yeah.
I want to feel that again from the fruit. And we can like learn if these chimps are getting naturally addicted to these ethanol fruits.
Hmm.
First of all, I want to know what the ethanol fruit is. I mean, obviously it's fermenting naturally out in this environment, wherever this is.
West Africa.
West Africa, so the conditions have to be right for the fruit to ferment. Obviously, we've known about fruit, strawberry, peach wine, for a long time. There's usually a distilling process that goes into that, but I mean, if you let fruit rot long enough, it becomes alcoholic because of the fermentation. So that part's kind of interesting to me, but more or less, I'd be curious to see the habit forming behaviors.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably pretty regular.
Because didn't they show monkeys can get addicted to alcohol pretty easily, like beer?
I don't know about that one.
Or is that just like a myth? Like there's a monkey always running around in Mexico drinking everyone's beer.
I bet you they could get addicted. Why would something with less brain power than us be
It's
able to overcome addiction?
it's addicted.
It's addicted. Dopamine nation. No, that's a fun one. I had to throw it in here. You know, bonding over fermented fruits can be fun. Next, I'm gonna let you lead this.
Yeah, so this one is kind of turns into a dumpster fire, no pun intended. But the headline pulled me in, and then I started to do this article, and I committed to it. So there, I don't know the why yet. People were setting their sex toys on fire in the backyard. At first, when I first read it, I thought there was a short with it, and
Yeah,
it caught fire that
or
way.
they're like
Not the case.
overused it or something.
They were being destroyed in the back of a house,
Okay.
and the fire became so bad that it spread to an 88-year-old woman's house. I believe her name is Sophia, and she completely panicked. This elderly woman, her house has just caught fire. Obviously, once the firefighters responded, they did the investigation. They traced it back to sex toys being the cause, and so some of them were rubber vaginas, so like fleshlights and things of that
Hmm.
nature. Apparently, those don't burn very well, or they burn so hot because of the material that it is,
Okay.
right? Because you think it's like a silicone kind of rubbery,
Yeah.
so that burns hotter, I guess,
Okay.
which omitted more flames, which caused trees and things
Once it did
once it went
catch.
up. Still don't know why these toys were being burned in the backyard. Was it like out of being ashamed of it, like we got to destroy the evidence of it? Was it an operation where they were just like, we got to get rid of some inventory?
Somebody that used them probably had STDs and they're trying to like eradicate it.
Well, and yeah, so apparently they used lighter fluid and told investigators that they were trying to get rid of DNA on the sex
Oh,
toys.
see? You
So
see?
that was the reason for setting these on fire. And unfortunately, it destroyed an 88-year-old woman's house who had lived in Staten Island a long time.
But she was okay.
Everybody's okay. There was no
Okay.
injuries from this. Just one of those wild stories. How did the house catch on fire? A rubber vagina.
Yeah. You just, people, it's crazy. It's like the things that you hear, the articles we see doing this show, like it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, that's why we do Happy Friday, right? We're trying to find articles that you're not really going to see covered every day, right? The usual nonsense like monkeys sharing ethanol fruits and sex toys burning houses down and sperm races in LA.
Yeah.
Where else are you going to get that? We're right here on HFA, baby.
Man, HFA is where it's at. And what are we doing this weekend? I'm going to go in with the first one. Well, tack when the wind shifts. If you're nautical, you know what I'm talking about. And then I just had one more I got to get into real quick. Um, Try re-engaging with an old hobby. For me, I'm going to jump into some video games. And honestly, I'm fulfilling a childhood dream of mine because I'm getting a gaming PC. I found one for a steal of a deal. I got it set up and I'm about to get into some gaming, playing some real-time strategy games that I've always wanted to play. I'm going to jump into that, man. What are you getting into this weekend?
I like that, Art. It's always fun. I know you've been looking forward to a nice gaming computer for a long time.
Oh,
So,
years.
I mean, you have to have the nuts and bolts and guts to do the kind of gaming Art's going to be doing. So he has invested in that. That's going to be a
So
lot of
excited.
fun. The weather's going to be good again here in Denver. It's warming up all around the country. So get yourself on outdoors. Start planning those hikes, those camping adventures, all the fun things, Art. That's what we're coming into here. I mean, this is it. April's done. We're on to May. We're on to May. So,
Crazy.
of course, we're going racing. It's Talladega, baby. It's a big one. Everybody loves Talladega. Of course, they think Ricky Bobby when we're running Talladega. It's our third super speedway race of the year so far. Jeff Davis will be on a business trip, so it'll just be NASCAR Sky and myself on Mash the Gas this Monday to break down Dega, baby. It's going to be a good one. And as far as HFA, we are out of here. Thanks for everyone who supports this program. Be sure to mash that subscribe button right here on YouTube so you never miss any of our shows on this channel. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Happy Friday USA, Twitter X at Happy Fry USA. Let's get this weekend going. Let's go, Fricashinas.